So there's a big theme in the book and a lot of really interesting research that has happened over the last 20 or 30 years about the power of diversity in allowing groups to make imaginative and informed decisions. This is a really interesting, I think, kind of and subtle point. So this is not the same argument that we traditionally make for diversity, which is the kind of multicultural argument for diversity, which is we want to have diverse groups, diverse teams, diverse governance in order to have different groups represented at the table, or to promote kind of greater social tolerance, both of which are fantastic goals and values, and we should do more of them now more than ever. But this is another point, which is that when you have diverse groups, those groups are collectively smarter than less diverse groups that may actually technically have higher IQs, right? This is the diversity trumps ability theorem that people like Scott Page are associated with. And there are a lot of really interesting studies. So this is diversity both in terms of ethnic background, crucially gender. Gender diversity is, been studied up and down in a lot of different ways on this, but also diversity of expertise, diversity of kind of intellectual background. There's a really interesting study that was done a while ago. There was an article in the Times about this, where they did, there have been dozens and dozens and dozens of studies that have looked at this in terms of group decision making, but there was one recently where they were looking at gender diversity. And they took a group that was originally all guys and had them basically do kind of mock jury-like decision making and analyze the results. And then they diversified the group just purely in terms of gender. And once you had gender diversity, that second group was much more open-minded to new ideas, came up with more inventive kind of solutions to the problems that they were facing with, revealed more information that had otherwise been hidden and kind of concealed in that first initial all-male group. And it was just a very decisive result. The funny thing is that they then continued to do the experiment just with all women, and that actually was the best performing group. So I don't really know what that tells us.
Well, it's pretty clear.
But the two things that we know that groups can do well if they're kind of organized correctly is there's a lot of collective information that's inside the group, but there's a tendency that groups have to consolidate around the shared information, the information that the initial members all agree is true. And so this is kind of this groupthink mentality.
Homogeneous.
Like, there might be 10 facts that are relevant to this case. And we come to the table where all of us around the table know these 5 facts. And the remaining 5 facts, which may be really important to making a good decision, are distributed unevenly through the rest of the group. And so a big part of the exercise in group decision making is to get those hidden, sometimes called hidden profiles, out of the members who are kind of concealing them, and to create an environment where people are like, oh, wait, hold on, I've got a hidden fact that nobody knows about. And more diverse groups tend to elicit that kind of information. The other side of it is overconfidence. This is the big side of groupthink that you often have. The group stumbles across decision A that they think is the right thing.
Like Hillary's going to win the election.
Yeah. And well, in the book, there's a whole kind of theme contrasting the WMD investigation with the Iraq War and the decision of initially identifying bin Laden in the compound and then the decision of how to go in with the raid, which were kind of decision architectures that were completely different. The WMD decision was set up to confirm an existing hypothesis and led to a kind of groupthink. The bin Laden decision was deliberately designed to challenge everybody's assumptions all along the way. So even when they had people who were confident, like, I think he's in the compound, they were constantly being challenged by Panetta and eventually by Obama, saying like, okay, you believe this, but give me 10 arguments why this is not true. And so when you take this exercise of really challenging those assumptions and trying to get outside of that tendency to be overconfident with our choices, then you can actually get smarter as a group. One of the interesting things about diverse group decision making is, and this happens at there are a bunch of different studies that show this, that these more eclectic groups compared to the more homogeneous groups are both making better decisions, but they report to the experimenters that they are less confident with their decision than the group that's making a worse decision. So you get this interesting mix of, you get smarter and less confident in your choice through that process, because the diversity of people, the challenging of the assumptions has created this window of doubt. So they're actually getting smarter, but they have this lack of certainty. But that lack of certainty is a sign that you're thinking and wrestling, because it's a complicated problem.